And everybody, welcome to the Hogville.net Razorback postgame show presented by Coy's Southern Eats. Go out and check out all of the great products they have at Coy's at coyssoutherneats.com. You can also find them at select grocery stores in Central Arkansas and Northwest Arkansas, Amazon, and also at their website. I'm going to bring in Drake Pretty and of Hogville.net as well. Drake, how you doing, man?
Hey, well, been better, but I'm doing okay, I guess.
Yeah, Razorbacks kind of took it on the chin today. That was one of the probably the most disappointing things is that here over the last 2 weeks you've seen improvements, even though they've been losses, they've been close losses, and today that was not the case. I feel like this team took a big step backwards.
Yeah, for sure. It when your offense doesn't, score any points until 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, that's a pretty big regression. It's kind of hard to watch. How big of a step back they took.
Yeah, it was. You had a chance there at the end of BYU. You had the ball.
Yeah.
You were driving. You had a chance to stop LSU at LSU in front of really a national crowd. Arkansas gets that national crowd again today with an 11 a.m. kick, even though it was 11. I mean, that's still a big crowd that's going to be able to watch that game. And falling 34-22 is it's hard. We're gonna dive into some of that here in just a minute. But I want to, Drake, we're going to go ahead and take a quick word from our sponsor. Okay.
Sure.
Tired of serving up the same old tasteless vittles to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Coy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to coyssoutherneats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.
And we're back, everybody. If you guys have any comments, concerns, thoughts, throw them in this comment pile. We'll put them on the air. We'll address them. I'm sure that everybody has got a lot on their mind after this loss. Drake, I was encouraged by the first drive. First drive, you went 3 for 3 on third down. And you were catching breaks really with offensive line was blocking pretty well up front at first. You also had 3 third downs that you capitalized on that were 10 yards or more. You had Lucas in the mix at that point before he injured his shoulder. And from what it looked like, it's either a separated shoulder or a clavicle injury. I'm not sure which one of the two. If everybody wants to throw their thought out on that one too, go ahead. From everything that I heard from Chuck, it was a shoulder. They just didn't expand on it too much. And Kevin Lucas, I'm gonna put this up there because this kind of segues into my next point. Why doesn't KJ go under center on 3rd and 1? Surely he can get 1 yard with a push. Drake, I really want your opinion on this. I value it because you see things a little bit differently than I do. What was your thought when you saw KJ still lining up in the pistol and also in the shotgun with 3rd and 4th down?
That doesn't really make sense to me at any level, from YMCA to pro. Why would you line somebody with such a big, a big body quarterback back there? Why would you line them up, 4 yards off the ball if you only need the 1? I don't get it. I've never got it. I just don't get it. I would think, you would put him under center and just hopefully his line can get that 1 yard push, and then you have KJ, pushing behind him. And I would say go over the top, but we saw that happen last year. I just don't get the whole shotgun pistol on 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1. I never will.
Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a second.
Go for it.
And I don't know if this is what's going through Dan Enos's head. I'm not sure. I can't tell you. I don't talk to the guy. But from the outside looking in, you get KJ in the pistol or in the shotgun. He's able to make a read, one on the defensive ends to see where they're, because he knows they're crashing. I mean, everybody knows they're crashing. But he's given the time for the offensive line to make a little bit of a crease or a hole. But the problem is that if you do that, that's giving the linebackers enough time to come over the top and fill the gaps that the defensive line were able to plug, and then they come in and there's those gaps. That's whenever the linebackers fill. So not only are you giving the defensive line time, you're giving the linebackers time to fill those holes too, which is basically making a barricade, because now you've seen KJ not be able to capitalize on a 3rd and short. You've seen Rocket now not being able to capitalize on a 3rd and short. The one there in the first quarter or second quarter, I do believe, was where Brady Latham didn't get his pad level down low enough again, gets pushed back into the backfield 2 yards, trips Rocket, and he gets taken down by the defensive end and the crashing nickel back there. So schematically, you have it drawn up, but the problem is that you don't got – I'm going to just tell you right now, I just don't think this team's got the horses to do it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem. I mean, it's hard to say, but like if you had the players to do it, the scheme would actually work. I can't remember what play this was, but kind of like what you're talking about with linebackers crashing the edge. I wish I could pull it up, because the way you explained it exactly how it happened. KJ took the snap in the shotgun, ran it to the right, and immediately, literally, all the linebackers just funneled to the edge and just walled it off. I wish I could pull it up, because the way you explained it. They knew
exactly what we were running. They were running. They knew what they were running.
Yeah, and the way you explained it was exactly how this play, ended up happening. It was a 3rd and 1, 4th and run, and then it ended up being like a 2-yard loss or something like that. Which again, I don't necessarily get the whole pistol shotgun, but I don't know.
Well, you saw the offensive line last week blowing their guy off the ball. Pad level was low. They were able to get under the defensive line linemen's shoulder pads, and they were able to blow them off the ball. That was during the running game. Now, this week, you saw that the passing game in the first couple series was really kind of looking pretty good. But then whenever you have Luke Has go down, that's a weapon that gets taken away. And I don't know if it's that KJ just doesn't trust his wide receivers to get the space that they need. That's something that's been brought up over the last week or so, is wide receivers not being able to get that separation off the DB to give themselves an opportunity to haul the balls in. But nonetheless, KJ still, whenever he has time, and like Hot Dog said, and I'm not going to put that on there because it's not the worst word you could use, but it's something that I don't feel comfortable putting on, and I don't think Lanny would appreciate it. But yes, they do call for lateral passes. Also, they tried to implement a little bit more of the screen game. You saw it kind of worked with Rocket. He had that 31 or the 33-yard reception that set up the first field goal, which I'm going to get to as well, because I still am having some problems with that as well. But you see a little bit of opening up the offense on the sides, trying to weaken that defense or soften that defense up. Their DBs were playing almost on the line and jamming our guys at the point of attack, where our guys were playing 10 off. They were playing 10 yards off the ball, and that's why so I made the mention on Hogville on the game thread that when you give Anaya Smith 10 yards to work with, and then you give him your inside shoulder, you are completely toast. And that's what's happening right now, is that they're working our DBs a little bit to the outside towards the hash, or onto the sideline, and then they're cutting in. And we don't have our free safety or strong safeties that are able to crash over fast enough to be able to take that passing lane away. So whenever they give them that push or that little pushback, and then they kind of sit in that little gap where Bobby Petrino is perfect at masterfully planning, which is exactly what happened almost all day, was when they worked their way out a little bit, then sat back on the inside, he was giving Max Johnson a lane to throw at every time, at every point that he wanted to today.
Yeah, you could definitely see, the Bobby Petrino offense out there. I think Max Johnson, might have even started out like 6 and 6 for passing. I can't remember the yardage, but and a lot of people thought, the second string quarterback coming in today, might give us that advantage. But kudos to Max Johnson. You had a pretty good day, and kind of like what you said, you could definitely see like the Bobby Petrino offense out there. Even throwing those little crossing routes and stuff over the middle.
That was the hallmark.
Yeah. It's kind of like the same thing we saw last year when we played Missouri State. Pretty similar offenses, I would say, to a certain degree. Just maybe a little more firepower with the Texas A&M.
Yep. So with the defense, though, I will say this. I'm glad that Hot Dog did bring this up. He said, I have to say that the defense has been a bright spot. We have had an interception in every game this season. They also had their third pick six, which I'll be writing about a little bit later on after the show, kind of expanding on that. When you have a defense that is giving your offense a leg up on the scoreboard, you have to take that. You have to capitalize on that every time. You had the pick six by Snacks Johnson today. Then you had the fumble recovery that set up another field goal. And right there, that accounts for 10 points on the board. That's setting the offense up for success. How many times, Drake, can this offense keep going into the red zone and keep coming away with field goals and expecting to win?
You can't. Yeah, you can't. I might be wrong. I think they only made it to the red zone once today. I could be wrong. I think that was the first or second drive, and they kicked a field goal. But, I mean, you can't make your living off 3 points at a time, especially if the defense is going to be putting you in good spots. Granted, they gave up 34, but when your offense is going 3 and out, punt, 3 and out, whatever it was, that really wears those guys. I mean, like they say, you got to score. You got to be able to defend. You got to be able to score points at the end of the day. And the offense just didn't do that. It's frustrating to say because, it's nice to see Cam Little, kick 3 field goals, but when 2 of them are 50 yards and the other one's 52, you're not anywhere close really to breaking that plane. So I don't know. You just can't make your living off field goals, I think.
So you saw that the A&M defense have made vast improvements over the last 3 weeks where they got torched at Miami.
Yeah.
And then they came in with Auburn and they were pretty stout against Hugh Freeze's offense. And then they came in today and then they just basically told Dan Enos, by the way, I'm going to have my way with you guys on that front seven. And Arkansas's offensive line and defensive line, for the most part, I want to say that A&M really dominated the trenches today on both sides of the ball. Yeah.
So A&M's defense, they combined for 5 sacks and 15 tackles for losses. I think a lot of that's kind of can be placed on that offensive line. They kind of, some points today, it kind of looked like they got bullied. There's a lot of pressure on KJ at times. And, I think that even added to him not completing passes and whatnot. Because, I mean, if you always have someone chasing you or in your face, it just adds to it. It's tough to say for sure.
So, Inmate 2 says, is there an SEC win on this schedule? There might be one. Because it looked like Billy Napier turned back into Billy Napier this week. You give Florida ranking 22nd in the nation. They go down to Mark Stoops in Kentucky, and they lay a friggin' egg today. They ended up getting whipped 33-14. I think that it's safe to say that Florida's back into the Florida mode that we've seen over the last year and 4 games now, 5 games. That might be a win, maybe. Depends.
Yeah. Still got to play here.
Yeah, you got to still go down to Gainesville. You go down to Ole Miss next week. That doesn't look fun. Oh, by the way, you got Nick Saban the week after that. So I'm just saying that he's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. So we'll have to see. Let's see here. Kevin Lucas, with this being Sam Pittman's 4th year, I assumed with all the recruiting that this team would be better than this. Yes. Defensive backfield I thought would be better. They are making improvements there, though, as far as coverage goes. I would say today it was kind of I'm going to have to back off my first statement where I thought that they were still not good. But, I mean, they did get an interception for a 6. Again, you've got all but 2 guys on that defensive backfield now that weren't here last year. So that tells me that, the people that needed to be out are not here anymore. I thought the defensive line was going to look a lot better this week than it did. Offensively, you started the game off 3 of 3 on 3rd down, like we talked about. And then you finished, Drake, on the offensive side of the ball, you finished 2 of 13, 2 of 12 for the rest of the game in 3rd down. You can't win like that, man.
No. And, I've read it out here. The offense today, they had 13 drives. 6 of those ended in punts, and then 1 on downs, and then the half got them on 1, and then they threw the pick 6. So that only gave, the offense, 4 possessions to score, which they did, but it was a touchdown and 3 field goals. But I don't know. It's easy to say not to go 3 and out, but you got to be given more on the offense. You got to get your defense off the field. You got to be putting up points, especially if you're wanting to at least, break even this season, I would think.
Jackson Cole says, I think we need to start the quarterback transfer Criswell. Yes, Jacoby Criswell at this point is probably one of the most popular people on the football team because he is the backup quarterback. Everybody loves the backup because they haven't seen exactly what he can do. He hasn't had a chance to either mess up or a chance to not drive their team down the field. Are we going to see him? I doubt it. Unless there is something going on where Arkansas is getting blown out and there's trash time, or Arkansas is winning big like you saw week 1 against Western Carolina, you're not going to see Jacoby Criswell. That's Sam's MO. He does not do that, because when you do that, then you start putting seeds of doubt in your starting quarterback's head of, hey, I might be on the chopping block. And you can't have that. And that was one of the things that KJ mentioned his freshman year whenever Felipe Franks came in and Felipe was hurt. KJ went in, damn near won the game for him in Columbia, last game of the season. And then Sam reiterated and says, I don't need to go to the transfer portal because I already have my quarterback. So that tells you right there that, yes, he wants to bring those guys in, but at the same time, he's going to stick with those guys because you cannot have a quarterback that's always looking over his shoulder at the staff saying, when are y'all going to pull me then?
Yeah, right. I mean, I think regardless of what happens, I think KJ will still be the guy until the end of the year unless something catastrophic happens, which, God, I hope it doesn't. But if that was the case, what we've seen from Jacoby, from that Western Carolina game, I think he threw a touchdown pass to Davion Dozier. And then, seen him in the scrimmages and stuff, he looks like a good quarterback. So, even how this season ends, going into next season, if he was our starter or whatever KJ decides, we still got a good quarterback back there, and both of them are kind of similar and, body types to a certain degree.
You got KJ Jackson also coming in next year too, highly recruited freshman. But let's see here really quick. Tony Brown, how many times will we be in shotgun 4th and 1 before Dan Enos learns it doesn't work? Well, I can't answer that question. There's only 2 people that can answer that question. That's Sam Pittman and also Dan Enos. Until we find out from those guys when they are willing to not put KJ in the backfield at the shotgun or the pistol, then we'll figure that out. But until then, I just don't know. Kevin Lucas also, I noticed KJ seemed to hold the ball longer than he needed to when he goes back to pass. Drake, can you expand on that at all?
Yeah, I'm not totally for sure. I don't know if it's, a thing maybe, protecting it, as he's getting rushed or maybe it's even, the receivers can't get off, get out of the cuts or get off the defenders or whatever it might be. That's what I would think. I did notice that too, but again, I don't know for sure. That's what I would assume, especially when you have defenders in your face and you're trying to find those receivers, I could understand maybe that's why, but I don't know for sure.
The only thing that I can think of is either one of 2 reasons. First one is that the staff is really emphasizing that he needs to go through his progressions. He needs to go through his first, his second, third read, and then also his safety valve. Or he's reading the defense. He thinks he sees something, and it turns out to be something else. And then when he gets back there and he starts to see those pieces not do it exactly what he thought they were going to do, then he gets in those oh crap moments, and then he sees that his wide receivers are not getting the separation that they need, and so he's having to hold on to the ball longer to give them a chance to get open. So it's one of the 2. It may be a combination of both for all we know. So I don't know. It's something we'll have to look at here going forward.
Yeah, definitely interesting for sure. Like I said, I don't know for sure,
Also, whenever you guys watch this, make sure to like or thanks, Kevin, for the reminder. Easy to forget to smash the like button on a live. Yeah, man, if you guys want to watch any of our shows that we have, the post-game shows, the Razorback Football Report with Otis Kirk, the Razorback Diamond Report with Dudley Dawson, also got Hogville.net specials this Thursday. It was going to be tomorrow. Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South and I were talking before the game. He's not able to do it tomorrow, so we're going to do it on Thursday. And you guys will be able to watch that live at 10 a.m. So Connor O'Gara will be on live at 10 a.m. this coming Thursday from Saturday Down South. We're going to look at I want to get his perspective on the run-up to the A&M game, what happened, and then what to expect from Arkansas against Ole Miss going down and seeing what happens down in Oxford. God knows what's going to happen. It almost tells me that we don't know what kind of a Razorback team we're going to get too. Are we going to get the Razorback team that went to Baton Rouge? Or are we going to get the Razorback team that went to Dallas? We're going to have to see, because at this point we really don't even know. So Drake, what was your overall assessment of the offense as a whole for today?
I've been trying to figure out before we even started, what I was going to say. I mean, if I could give them a grade, I don't know, man, like a D plus maybe. I didn't think really is that great. I will say, if you want to take something out of it, I don't think our offensive line had any penalties today. So
I don't think there were any penalties today at all.
There's one get out of it. I mean, they had a few good looks, but overall, it was kind of frustrating to watch, because I really do think they have a good unit there. But if I could give it like a grade rating, I'd give them like a D plus maybe. It was just kind of hard to watch. You can't have your offense score their only touchdown with the 5 minutes left in the game and think you're going to be able to compete next week. There's that. I mean, if you want to take another positive, KJ broke a couple of records today. He's now the all-time touchdown responsibility holder. He just beat Matt Jones, kind of a cool record. And then I think total yards, he needed 113 a day.
Mm-hmm.
He had 100 and I can't remember what it was. But anyways, he beat Matt Jones again. And I could be wrong.
132. He barely broke it. Jackgum, man. Yeah, he barely broke it.
I knew it wasn't by a lot.
Oh.
And honestly, until that half of the fourth quarter, I didn't think he was going to do it because he only needed 113. I think he was like at 100 and they weren't doing nothing. But yeah, and then I think he's close to, total plays played record. That's really not that significant, I guess, but that's still kind of a cool record. I think he's close to that. Clint Sterner owns that right now.
That does show longevity and being able to work through injuries.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that you can say about KJ is that if he's hurt, he's going to be out there. But if he's really hurt, I mean, it's going to take moving a mountain to get that guy out of the quarterback spot.
Yeah, especially with him. What game did he miss last year? Was at Mississippi State, and maybe like half of another one or something. So still to be able to put together a resume like that, breaking 2 records for sure, and maybe a third. I think, that's pretty cool. It's something that a little asterisk to add by the game, I guess, if you want.
Another one I want to bring up is Max Fletcher, because last week,
that's
had one punt, and then the week before that, he had 2 punts that didn't go 20 yards, and then he must have heard the bell. He must have heard something. He had 6 punts for 328 yards. That was an average of 54.7 yards per punt. He did have one that backed up A&M. It looked like it was going to go straight out of bounds because it veered off to the right. It hit just before the plane of the goal, and it looked like it went straight right, but it just barely crossed over the pylon. And you could tell that he was really trying to pull that ball back just enough to get it out of bounds at the 1 yard line or the 1 inch line, really. But he did have a better day today. I was very encouraged by the way he was able to flip the field for the Razorbacks and trying to create a longer field for A&M. So we'll have to see I want to see him being more consistent like he was today than versus what he was 2 weeks ago. You kind of saw a little bit of that on the horizon this week or last week, and then this week it was a lot more. Tony Brown, really quick. Kendall Browse did a lot of things wrong, but he knew to use KJ properly, something Dan Enos can't do to this point. I'm going to say that he's not wrong.
No, not necessarily. I would agree somewhat to that. Yeah, I would agree.
And another thing too is that you got to find that balance of the offensive line being consistent on run plays. You got to have them being consistent on pass plays, because if you're trying to call a game and you're trying to make that 50-50 split to keep the defense off center a little bit, you got to have consistency on the offensive line. I mean, we'll have to see where they do go, how they perform going forward. One of the things, Drake, going into this game today that I really was concerned about was the stamina of the offensive line going into the fourth quarter and late into the fourth quarter. Because before last week, you saw a lot of penalties where they were grabbing, they're holding their clutch, and they were trying. That to me is a sign of being fatigued.
Yeah, for sure.
Last week, you saw them take that next step. And then this week, it's like after halftime, they're like, we got no more. We don't know what to do. Front seven for A&M is kind of got us against the wall, and see what the defense can do for us. That's what I felt like today.
Yeah. I feel that. Yeah.
So,
I mean, what else can you really say,
I feel like at this point we're almost beating a dead horse with paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not much there else we can kind of expand on. I think we've already really kind of touched on all the I wouldn't say inadequacies, but maybe the deficiencies of the Razorback offense today. a little bit on the defense, and the secondary did perform pretty well again. Another pick six, the third of the season. They got 2 fumbles. That one did set up a field goal. So you got Ole Miss. You're going down to Oxford. It's a night game down in Mississippi. Ole Miss has got a little bit of a tussle on their hands tonight because they got the national game because they are taking on LSU tonight. That's going to be a really interesting game. I want to see what Jackson Dart is able to do with that LSU defense. I want to see how LSU's offense is able to and Jaden Daniels is able to operate against that Lane Kiffin defense and see where that goes, because that could be kind of a telltale of what happens next week.
Yeah, it might equate to something. That will be interesting for sure to see how they play down there. Like I said, it might equate to something. I think Jackson Dart, who has probably the best name for a quarterback,
Yep.
I think he's a really solid quarterback in the SEC. And then you have Quashon Judkins, who led the SEC last year, and tons of awards and accolades behind him. I think we could have a pretty good game on our hands. I think we could beat Ole Miss if we play them like we played LSU. But again, today, like we said, it was a step back.
So really quick, I'm going to throw this out there, and this is going to blow your mind. Quinshon Judkins does not lead the team in rushing this year so far.
So that's what I was looking at earlier. I got him at
it's Jackson Dart.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. Yeah, I have Quinshon Judkins at like 57 attempts on 201 yards or something like that.
And Jackson Dart's got him beat by 18 yards, but he's got 3 scores also on top of that.
Which makes no sense, but both of those are both really solid players. And then they have a couple receivers too. What's that guy's name? Watkins, maybe. He's another solid receiver.
Yeah, Jordan Watkins. So he leads the team in receptions. He's got 24 receptions, 341 yards, and a score. And I'm going to tell you what, Lane Kiffin, I wouldn't say is licking his chops because he sees the Arkansas secondary, because the Arkansas secondary can be a little opportunistic. They have shown the ability to be able to score or produce turnovers that lead to scores. But I'm not going to put you on the spot for a score prediction, because as all of you have hopefully read with Otis's articles come out on Thursdays, that myself, Drake, Dudley, and Otis, and John James, our wonderful, wonderful photographer, put out our score predictions on Thursdays, and we put that on hogville.net. So you all make sure to jump over on Thursdays and at least read that to get our score predictions as well. Because I'm gonna stop putting Drake on the spot, because I know you don't mind, man, but at the same time, I don't want to like keep putting you on the spot, because it's just not cool.
Well, I'll put it like this: I'm kind of like a Vegas odds type of thing. One day it might be a touchdown, and then the next day it might be 2 touchdowns. It just changes, and depending on how I feel that day, after these games, sometimes it's good to kind of go look back and gather thoughts, watch film, kind of see. But yeah, I think I don't know.
Kevin Lucas says, I hope Arkansas can bounce back against Mississippi. I'd love to. I'd love to sit here and go over another win with you guys. We've had folks that are consistently jumping on, watching our broadcasts now after the game, which I greatly appreciate. Drake greatly appreciates too.
I appreciate you.
We would love to sit there and talk sports with you guys, go back and forth. We feel the same frustrations as you do. But everybody, make sure to keep jumping on after the games. We're going to be consistent after every game. We're going to be right here for you guys, talk to you guys, maybe talk you through it a little bit. That's okay. That's what we're here for. We're a community, and we're going to always be there for everybody. But quick note from Coy's Southern Eats, our proud sponsor. They just announced this week that they are going to be reopening a satellite location at the Hot Springs Hotel with Coy's Southern Eats. This is the first time, or this is the reopening, really, of their steakhouse after it burnt down a few years ago. They kind of were talking about it. They weren't quite sure if they were going to open one up, and then an opportunity came along, and they're going to be actually opening up Coy's Southern Eats, or I'm sorry, Coy's Steakhouse and Seafood here in the near future. I'm not sure yet if Tracy and Clay know exactly when that opening date will be. As more information comes along, though, we are going to pass that along to you as well. Well, Drake, we got to get out of here. We got to go right. So, for myself, Jason Pattyson, and Drake Pretty, I want to thank you guys for jumping on for the Hogville.net Razorback post-game show presented by Coy Southern Eats. Y'all take care.